Hi guys, so I wanted to make this video today just to go over some of the more optimal settings to use in Throne of Liberty. This will make the game feel way better while you're playing. These settings can be used by anyone enjoying PvE, PvP, or healing, and I'll make a note for any sort of healer specific settings. So let's go through this. So just open up your settings. Starting in the first tab under gameplay controls, you'll see at the top you get to choose which sort of control mode you want to use. I like classic mode as a healer. Classic mode tends to be or feel a lot better for any ranged DPS or healers, while action mode is sometimes enjoyed by some melee. I would definitely not recommend action mode for healing or range, but it's not that it's impossible, but it just doesn't feel as great as classic mode, especially for healers. Healers in action mode doesn't really work that well. Going down, under move, keep that all the same. Under attack, make sure that you just gonna reset my settings here so I can start at default. So I'm starting at default. So we all have the same settings. When you start the game, this is exactly what you're going to see. So it makes it easy for you to follow. I'm gonna check auto move to attack target. This will make it so if a target is out of range, your character will automatically move in their direction, just so when you press your attack button, you're not just awkwardly standing still. Same thing, it works similarly for auto move within range to use beneficial skills. It's especially good for healers. For buffs or heals, it'll move in the direction of the person you're trying to heal. And it also gives you a good idea. It helps you also locate that individual if you sort of lost them for a second. Check to use basic attack toggle. I like using this so I can just press my basic attack button and then deselect it, press it again just so my character can stop auto attacking. Not that important, but it's just convenient. Unchecked easy charge skills. This is also really helpful. This makes it so when you press a skill, the skill will automatically start charging, and then you have to press the skill again to use to launch the attack. This makes it so you don't have to hold the button down. So you just have to press it once and then press it again to attack. So it's just convenient. Check easy direction location designated skills. This makes it so you can free cast, and your skills don't get locked onto a specific target. So definitely take this, especially if you have like range AoE, or you have mobility skills or anything like that. It's just good to play with this option on. And then you want to uncheck this button here, aim at target with direction / location designated skills. This makes it so your skills don't lock on to a target when you're trying to sort of free cast it. So now you have full control over where you want your abilities to go. Okay, so when it comes to amatory recovery, I like setting this to sort of 96%. That'll make it so my amatory starts recovering my health a lot sooner than later. So moving on to the next tab on the character, change character name display settings to user settings. So we're gonna go under right here, and we're gonna find that. So turn this on. This is probably going to be more of a preference thing, so play around with this on what you sort of prefer here. This helps declutter your screen. So for me, I like having just the hostile guild mark on. I turn off their name and I turn off their health bar, mainly because as a longbow healer, I don't really have that many DPS abilities, so I don't really care about my enemies' health bars or their name. I just care about where they are, so the guild mark is good enough for me. When it comes to friendly player characters, I like keeping the guild mark on, name, and health, of course, so it makes it easier for me to understand who needs healing. When it comes to missed characters, so these are characters who are not on your hostile list, so they're going to have sort of a gray template. I like keeping their guild mark on and their name and health off. And when it comes to NPCs, of course, I keep it all on. Those are just for mobs and bosses and etc. And like NPCs in town as well. When it comes to showing my info, I like to sometimes some healers or anyone really might like it that their name shows up in their party list. So this is the option here to do that. You just check this button and your name will show up at the top of your party list. I like keeping it off. And when it comes to sort of open my info, I like to uncheck this just so people aren't looking at the sort of weapons I'm using. More of a preference thing. Some people like keeping it on, it doesn't really matter. And I also like to uncheck this because just so when I get it, a rare item or a drop, or if I get an enhancement, it says anonymous on the screen. I also, it's just a preference thing, really. It doesn't really matter either. To help with FPS, I definitely recommend to turn off show others Amatoy as well. Under target selection, change the target selection method to search by order priority. So it's right here. So this is how you could choose when you press tab where your character targets, who your character targets first. Unchecking and checking these boxes sort of determines that. It goes in order from priority 1 to priority 11. Unfortunately, you can't rearrange the order. I wish you could, but you can't do that. So what I do is I uncheck attacking monsters, elite and boss monsters, resistant contracts, guild contract monsters, and nearby monsters and objects. And I just keep on hostile, guild, feud players, and hostile players. This is sort of the only thing I like to play with. What you can do is if you could play the game, especially if you're an assassin, as just a feud list killer. So you add people who you specifically want to kill. Open up your relationships menu and go to feuds. You add those people here, and that could be you can be very like clever with this. You can put only healers on this list. You can put healers and squishies on this list. So then, when you go back to your settings under target selection, you can uncheck hostile guild and uncheck hostile players and only keep feud players. So you're only targeting when you press tab to the people on your feud list. So this is also like a really cool thing that assassins can set up for themselves. And then you're also gonna want to go to your camera tab. You can skip item tab. There's not really anything important here. You can skip to your camera tab and set up your sensitivity. I like going for about like 210 to 220. When it comes to your display mouse cursor while rotating, uncheck this just so when you rotate your camera your mouse disappears. It's less clutter on your screen. And I'm gonna correct my sensitivity to 200. Actually, this feels much better. Sorry. Uncheck display camera or delay camera collision zoom, and then uncheck, of course, shake effects. If you like the immersion, keep it on, but I do not. When you go under content, you want to uncheck display guild controls, which is over here. It is. So uncheck display guild controls, uncheck swimming controls, uncheck the sort of tutorial guide display. This will make it so there's less annoying pop-ups on your screen while you're using these functions. And you also want to uncheck display return confirmation during dynamic events and also during individual instances. This makes it so when you try to return during the events or a dungeon, a co-op dungeon, you don't get an annoying pop-up menu. You can keep it on just in case you might be clumsy or make mistakes, but I prefer to keep it off. You can also sort of set up when you want the game to notify you that you can sort of donate to the guild. And I like to set it up to whenever I can donate. So it's like more frequent reminders to just donate. When it comes to, you can skip chat. There's nothing really important here again. Well, you can actually turn on auto translate. This can be convenient in case people are speaking in other languages in chat. So the game auto translate for you. When it comes to UI, you could change the size of UI under under sort of right here under the HUD. So you can change the HUD size, and all the other functions aren't really that helpful, so you can ignore the rest. Skip language time, or you probably don't want to change the voice language to English, because we'll have that option available on global. So going under notifications, under combat, you can set up a notification when you're attacked, or when you're attacking. And there's various sounds as you can hear here. I like keeping the sound on and just keeping it to 30 seconds. Health notification, you get a notification when your health drops by to a certain percent and below. I like keeping sound 1. I think it's a lot more noticeable. And I like my low health notification to be at like 65%. And I like to be notified every 5 seconds as well. If you alt tab a lot and you don't have the um, the sound option to hear the sounds in game while you're alt tab, you can turn on background notifications as well, just so you get notified in that instance. Also under inventory, you can set a sound for when your world tree leaves are about to run out, so you can restock. I just like keeping sort of the default here, but I like changing the sound. I like the sound much better. It just sounds nice to hear, really. Yeah, you can keep it at times 20, or you can increase it or decrease it. I just like keeping it at times 20. Community, you can keep the same. But actually, if you're someone who receives a lot of whispers and you hate the sound of the whisper notifications, you can uncheck this box. I don't really mind it, so I just keep it checked on. And content, sort of progression messages, I like keeping both of these on as well. When it comes under graphics, my friend Dank made a really good video to optimize your graphic settings for FPS, and I'm gonna link that in the description and comment section below. Yeah, so but just everything that's default is okay on this page, and here I'll link Dank's video so you can follow that next. When it comes to sound, adjust the sounds to how you prefer them to. I like keeping my master volume at 80%. Here we go. I like keeping the voice of characters like around 50% because it can get a little annoying sometimes. There we go. And I also like to turn down the music as well, so I like to keep that at like around 50%, so I'm just gonna put it at 50% for now. And most importantly, here are your shortcuts. So make sure you take the time to go through your shortcuts, set up how you would like the shortcuts, where you would like what you want your shortcuts to be. I'm just gonna highlight some things that are super important to set up for some folks. So if you're a healer, you need to, or not need to, but it's helpful to set up the option to cancel friendly target. So that way, if you don't like using keyboard buttons to select your party members, or sorry, to select yourself while in a party, you can set up this button just to drop the person, your friendly target that you're targeting. So whatever heal or whatever ability you want to use yourself, you can use it immediately after. But I prefer to set up my self-cast buttons. I know some people don't like to do that because they don't want to have too many buttons. But I personally prefer to do that, and I'm going to show you what those are right now. So under shortcuts, if you scroll down, you'll find the use skill on self buttons. You're going to want to set these up for any skill that you can buff or heal on yourself. So that's where you want to set that up here. And you also want to set up your party member selection buttons, which I believe is oh, just give me a second. Here it is, under party shortcuts. I preferably like setting up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 because it's easier to press really quickly for me. But you can do whatever you prefer. And I like to put my skills on, QERTZXCVB. And you can also use Shift, Control, or Alt in combination with another keyboard button to also set up your shortcuts. So you have a lot of options to set up the shortcuts in a way that feels comfortable to you. And then again, some more settings, you can sort of tweak the UI and feature settings to how you like them. Yeah, and under accessibility, there's nothing really unique under accessibility. Some of these stuff are just repeated from other tabs. They also just fall under accessibility. So that's it. This is the way that you can set up your settings in the most optimal way for PvE, PvP, or healing, and it just makes the game feel a lot better. One thing I'll also show you just a peek of that I recommend setting up, especially if you're doing feudless or you just find this convenient, is the Astral Vision. So the Astral Vision is a really cool system that sort of it is a radar that scans like a 40-meter range, up to a 40-meter range distance around you, and it highlights certain folks or certain things that you select here. So as a healer, I like setting it up to where whenever it scans, it always targets friendly guild and my guild. So this is how it works essentially. You would press the auto astral vision on off, and it'll automatically start scanning every 3 seconds, and it will place a really convenient number over the people that show up on this list. So this makes it really easy to locate anyone, sort of to locate anyone that you need to heal on the battlefield, because it'll show a big number over their head. But it also allows you to keep track of health bars that are outside your party in case you want to swift heal outside your party. Another thing that people do with this is you just set it up to party, and you might be wondering why when you have like the party UI. Some people like it because it shows the number over their party members' heads, so it makes it easier for them to find them if the symbols, or maybe if they have trouble seeing the symbols. So it's like a preference thing. You can use it just to scan for your feud targets, which is really cool as well. So instead of just tabbing to your feud targets, if you set up sort of the feud targeting system, you can instead use Astral Vision as to scan for feud targets, and this will scan a lot more targets than what you can initially see through just tabbing. So I recommend that. And there's just many unique ways that you can use this Astral Vision setting, and it's such a convenient and cool tool. And you can keep this all the same. And make sure to turn off black white Astral Vision effect, because I believe by default it's on. And set these to 3 seconds. Yeah, so it's a really cool tool. I'm gonna link an article that I made, sort of just explaining the Astral Vision settings and how to set them up in the description below, and also in the comment section. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope this video was helpful. I'm gonna include a written version of this whole video, or what I sort of explained, in the description below, and also in the comment section. Yeah, so thank you.